So most of my philosophies around aging and dying have been greatly influenced by Atul Gawande, who's a medical doctor that wrote the book Being Mortal. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. In the book, he asserts that the medical community has focused way too much on life-sustaining medical treatments as opposed to the quality of a person's end of life. Now, this chart depicts the relationship between health and quality of life as a person ages and dies. And it's really representative of what someone did during the 1900s or early 2000s. You would have a real high quality of life, and then you'd be out in your farm field and you'd have a heart attack and you'd die because an ambulance couldn't get to you. Shorter lifespan, higher quality of life. This chart depicts the current environment that we're in. Medical technology has enabled us to save people. So we bring somebody back from an acute incident, but then that extends their life. They have other acute instances, or their chronic diseases develop further. What that does is it causes an aging decline, lowers the quality of life as people age. These are the population of people that most of the people in this room serve. We serve an aging, declining population. The reality of it is that medical technology has extended our lives, but we did so without asking this population of people if they wanted their life extended or how they wanted to live the end of their lives. This is my grandparents. My grandpa died in 1986. 25 years later, my grandmother died. Now, in the last year of her life, about every day of her life, she would tell me, I want to go to heaven and be with Grandpa. She documented it with her attorney and my dad, who was her power of attorney for healthcare. A year before the end of her life, she had shortness of breath. The independent facility that she was at called 911. They sent her to the hospital in an ambulance, and on the way, she stopped breathing, and then they administered CPR in spite of the fact that she did not want to be resuscitated. And she had made that clear in her advanced care planning. The worst thing was that while administering CPR, they broke 3 ribs and punctured a lung. Not sure if anyone's ever had this, but a broken rib is very painful. And this was the beginning of a year-long rapid aging decline that was very difficult, very challenging, and very unnecessary. She would have had a real high quality of life right to the end without this. So how does this happen? My grandmother had expressed her wishes, had documented her wishes, and had communicated them to all of her family and the power of attorney for healthcare. And yet the reality of it is this happens to more people than we would like to admit. Now, the facts are that the emergency medical community do not have the information about someone's wishes, when they need it, and where they need it. Clearly, this is a bit of a joke, but there has to be better ways of making sure that people's wishes are honored at the end of their life than a tattoo. Although I got to tell you that my grandmother, who was a bit of a church lady, probably would have gotten that. This is a physician order for life-sustaining treatment, a PULSE document. It's a medical order for people that become seriously ill or very frail. This tool is being adopted throughout the United States as a standard for how a person defines the medical services that they'll receive in end of life. It guides medical treatments when somebody can no longer speak for themselves. 3 primary focus areas are resuscitation, medical intervention, and nutritional interventions. These are all topics that most people don't like to have, and if they don't, somebody else makes the decision for them. Even filling out a PULSE document, though, does not guarantee your wishes are honored. If that paper tool sits in a file in a physician's office, an attorney office, or your personal files, it's likely not going to influence the decisions of the medical community or emergency medical community when they intervene in an incident. That is the purpose of Vinca Health. Vinca Health is migrating end-of-life planning to the cloud. It empowers an individual and their healthcare professional to document wishes, store those wishes in the cloud, and then that enables a healthcare community to be able to access those wishes when they need it and where they need it. Vinca addresses several barriers to the current environment. One is it helps clinicians through a very difficult discussion process, creates efficiency in that discussion process and helps with billing. And then finally, because it's in the cloud, it addresses the challenges of having a single point where people can have their information stored and interfaces can happen quickly. So this is the tutorial page. Vinca provides these videos that helps guide that clinician through this very difficult conversation that many physicians are uncomfortable having. In addition to that, it creates a question process that is comfortable for the person and yet automatically is populating the POLST and/or the advanced care plan. VINCA makes the process efficient. It's a 30-minute process for the discussion to occur with the person and their healthcare professional. In addition to that, VINCA helps the physician capture the CPT codes necessary to be able to get the right billing or to maximize the billing. Finally, there's a multitude of healthcare professionals that need to be able to access this information. I think I've put 10 or 11 on here. Most of these will be done through an electronic medical record or an EHR. By being in the cloud, VINCA creates that one point of interface for multiple EMRs or EHRs to be able to access the person's info. The VINCA solution is great. It creates a history of a person's choices. It automatically updates those choices so that a healthcare professional can see what that history was. The other thing is that it provides electronic signatures so that your new decisions are updated immediately as opposed to relying on snail mail. Now, VINCA is an early stage company. It has managed care clients. It's got health system clients, and it serves as the state registry solution for many states, including Oregon. Oregon was their first customer as a state registry. And out of Oregon, we get some very compelling results. In that population of people, it doubled the amount of people that were making their POLST and/or advanced care planning decisions, reduced hospital readmissions by 37%, ICU utilization by 59%, and there's now 415,000 individuals that have posted a POLST or an advanced care plan on the VINCA site. Now, we've seen this migration of paper to the cloud before in the senior and assisted living space. We used to do our EHR, our EMRs on paper. And then in the 80s and 90s, we migrated to buying software and hosting it on our own servers. And then in the 2000s, driven mostly by point-click care, we now went to a cloud-based solution where our medical record sits in the cloud. This point of integration is really critical at this time because by 2024, there's going to be 60 million Americans over the age of 65. About 25% of those, or 15 million, will be appropriate to have a POLST form filled out. There needs to be a place where individuals can have their end-of-life wishes stored and easily accessed, and VINCA strives to be that solution. Thank you.